Let's try this again. My internet connection has been very unstable as I've tried to start this live to talk about plasma and the sun and the earth and our human heart and the relationship between all of those things, and the relationship between all of those things and the bigger picture of life right now and what is happening on our planet. So anyway, hoping that that we can stay online. I often explore topics that I am studying, that I'm currently studying, and I'm not claiming to be an authority on any of these things. I'm basically sharing my process of study with you guys, and hoping that, if it stirs or sparks something in you, well, that's all that matters, okay? I'm guided towards certain topics for exploration because of how they relate to the big picture. Okay, I guess we're back. Let's try this again. So plasma, okay? How all of this is related to the big picture, I think, is going to become clearer as we go along. Hello. So the universe is mostly plasma, and I just remember being taught in science class as a kid that the universe was just empty. Space was empty. Well, that's not true. Like so many other things that we discovered were not true. What we were told was to create a certain perception of life and the universe and our place in it, that were disempowering, frankly. So often called All right, I'm going downstairs. I'm going to try to get a better connection here, guys. So plasma is often called. Okay. Continuing. What was I saying? Right. So plasma happens when it becomes energized so that the electrons are separating from the atoms. And then that creates a field of charged particles that move collectively. All right. So unlike solids or liquids or gases, that plasma behaves less like a substance and more like a living field that's in motion, that is self-organizing, that forms structures, that responds to electromagnetic fields, that is dynamic and relational and intelligent and, I don't know, conscious, maybe even conscious. I don't know if that is a justified claim or not, but that's what it feels like. And the sun is a plasma intelligence. It's not simply a nuclear furnace like we were told. It's a vast plasma sphere that is organized by electromagnetic fields, and inside the sun, the plasma currents are circulating. They are the magnetic fields are twisting and reconnecting, and the light and the energy are propagating through the field, and these movements produce the sun's toroidal magnetic structure, right? So therefore the sun is not just like randomly emitting light and balls of fire. It's radiating structured plasma out into the solar system. It's radiating intelligence out into the field, right? And so, it's less like a burning ball of gas that's keeping things alive, which it is keeping things alive, but it's also, more like a living heart that's radiating plasma light, all right? So then we come to the Earth. The seen images of that magnetosphere, which is also toroidal. And so the solar winds are flowing toward the Earth. All of this plasma is radiating. And then the magnetosphere curves that flow around the planet, and then the energy circulates back through the poles and the ionosphere. And this creates a continuous electromagnetic conversation between the sun and the earth, because they are in communication. The sun is the divine masculine, the earth is the divine feminine. They work together and they are in dialogue, in conversation. So the sun radiates and the earth circulates. And then there's our heart. Our heart, this is where the fractal appears, right? The human heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. Most people have heard of that by now. And this field extends several feet beyond our body, and sometimes a lot more than that. And it also is toroidal, right? Toroidal, donut-shaped. The energy flows outward from the heart. It goes through our nervous system. It goes around the body, and then it comes back inward again in both directions. So the heart behaves much more like a vortex generator than a pump. And this is now, with this idea, or this remembering rather, is working its way even into the mainstream science now. Understanding how the heart actually works. And, modern researchers like Randy Hatton and Frank Chester, the guy who talked about the chestahedron, they pointed towards that, and they point towards that with their work. So the heart organizes the circulation of energy and the blood simultaneously. So, and this is where it becomes fascinating, because the blood itself behaves in ways that resemble charged fluid dynamics, because the body contains electrolytes and structured water and charged particles, and electromagnetic signaling is happening because we are electrical beings. When the heart produces this rhythmic electromagnetic pulsation, the fluid in the body responds to those fields. And so, in other words, the body's not just like a biochemical machine. It's an electromagnetic plasma-like system. This is where we have to remember that we're multidimensional and that we exist on multiple planes, from the subtle to the gross, simultaneously. We can see things in the gross, mechanistic, 3D way, or as our awareness grows, as we wake up, as our understanding becomes more subtle, we realize there's a whole heck of a lot more going on than anybody ever knew or shared, if they knew it. So there's like a sun-earth-heart fractal in operation here, where there's a pattern, right? The pattern is the sun is radiating plasma light, the earth is circulating this electromagnetic flow, and the heart is resonating with and organizing the body field in coherence with the sun, the earth, and we all have something in common. The same pattern appears again and again. The sun radiates, the earth circulates, the heart resonates, right? We evolved inside this electromagnetic environment. Our biology is tuned to it. So we've already established that the sun is a plasma radiance, that the earth is recirculating that through its field, and that the heart is a resonant center that resonates with this. But if we go one layer deeper, the earth, what is at the core of the earth? Mainstream science will say molten iron. That's what I was taught. But experientially, and in many ancient traditions, there was a different understanding, which is that the earth has a living core plasmic field at the center, a heart, right? The heart of Sophia. Sophia's heart is a plasmic core. It is an inner sun. And our heart is of the same nature. So imagine there's the sun out there. Imagine there's a twin sun inside the earth. and imagine that we have that same sun within ourselves. It makes sense, because this is fractal. So I want to connect this to what's going on now, because the earth is waking up, and we live on the earth, so we are waking up. I mean, if you have any, if your soul is intact, if your heart is still alive inside you, you are going to be waking up along with the earth, because we can't help it, because we're her children. So where she goes, we go, right? Her consciousness entrains our consciousness, because our heart is resonating with her, right? With the sun, with the earth, and us. That's the real trinity. So, the feminine is not women biologically. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the divine feminine as a field of intelligence, which is receptive, which is integrative, relational, circulatory, coherent, as opposed to the masculine, which is more directional and structuring, expressive and projective, right? They work together. One is not better than the other. They work together. That's genesis. That is gender, comes from the root gen, which is to generate, to create. We need both of them, right? We have both of them within ourselves, and that's required to create anything. Okay? You have to have both. You can't erase one or the other and expect to live in balance. So in balance, the masculine is creating forms and structures, and the feminine is holding the field. It is maintaining the life within those structures. So it's very clear that we have to have both. So on the human level, we can see, on every level, but this feminine field has been suppressed for a very long time, hundreds of thousands of years on this planet. We can see it in ourselves, that our emotional intelligence has been dismissed, our intuition has been discredited, the heart has been suppressed and overridden by the mind. In certain parts of the world, femininity, or the woman, is literally suppressed, right? So it runs the whole gamut of very obvious suppression to more subtle suppression and inversion. And then on the planetary level, obviously, the same powers that have sought to suppress humanity by suppressing our heart and disconnecting us from our wisdom, interfering with our DNA, and causing us to forget who we really are. On the planetary level, they have expressed that consciousness of parasitism by, extracting from the earth rather than relating to her. They've prioritized domination, obviously, over any kind of stewardship of the earth or her resources. She's been treated as a resource rather than as a conscious being, which she is. And so, the suppression of the feminine is the suppression of that field of intelligence itself, which leads to fragmentation and disconnection and incoherence and all, manner of imbalance that we are witness to today within ourselves and within and all over the planet. Okay, so what happens when that field is suppressed, right? And we could say we can associate that with the heart. Well, the mind becomes unregulated and out of balance. The systems that we live in become extractive. The intelligence, such as it is, becomes flat and mechanical, and purely analytical, divorced from heart consciousness. The technology replaces the organic relationship with creation that we were designed to have, right? Because human beings, the organic human template there's nothing more magnificent or brilliant in this entire universe. and we have been deformed over many, many, many eons of time. But in spite of that, we're still waking up. It's really amazing. So, this is the essence of empire or matrix distortion, is this suppression of the female and inversion of truth and falsehood, right? The false is elevated as true, and the true is made false. So with the mind without the heart loses its orientation and becomes monstrous. And I think we can see clear evidence of the truth of that. The good news is the rising movement now is the reawakening of sophianic intelligence, of the reascendancy of the heart once more. That's happening. What we're witnessing now planetarily is not random chaos. It is the reemergence of that field. And it's going to look like chaos for some time while what has been dominant is crumbling and falling apart. But you can, if you pay attention, and I suggest that we all remember to pay attention to what is arising as well as what is falling apart and crumbling, lest we be drawn into a negative mindset, which would be taken advantage of by the forces that feed off of that negativity and feed off of fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. If you pay attention, you will see that the divine feminine is rising in all kinds of ways, and it cannot be stopped now. It cannot be stopped. So let's encourage it within ourselves and, within our environment by noticing that people are becoming more sensitive, that emotional truth is rising, that what has been hidden is coming to the surface, that systems that we used to just trust without question are being questioned, they're being exposed, that, there's a pull back towards nature. You'll see that. I mean, you can just as easily say, yeah, but lots of people aren't doing that. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Not everybody is going to go through this process necessarily, right? But the organic human, the one who has a heart and a soul still intact, that is the way we're going, right? And on the planetary level, we can see it with all of this increasing energetic activity and the solar intensity and the geomagnetic shifts. I mean, it's just crazy, and what's going on with the sun and the CMEs that are occurring. I mean, off the charts, the Schumann resonance spikes and all of that stuff, right? The planet is not passive in this at all. She is participating. She's initiating, right? She's working, collaborating with the sun. This is a massive, massive shift, right? She's like, I've had enough, and she's throwing off her shackles too, and we all are invited to go along. Actually, we have to. We don't have a choice, right? So if you are in this domain and you are not interested in supporting humanity in this process and aligning with the organic light, then the frequencies here are not going to be hospitable for you, and you're going to have to find a way out. You're going to have to, change or go somewhere else, right? So, look, there appears to be a lot of conflicting information and chaos out there, and we're all working hard to try to discern what's true from what is false, okay? I recognize that. There are multiple layers to every story. There's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of disinformation out there. We've got to get good at looking beneath the surface, okay? We've got to get good at questioning surface narratives. Certainly anything that is being propagated by mainstream media is not to be trusted. And even if they say a kernel of truth, it's going to be surrounded and wrapped up in distortion. And we just have to know that. I don't know many people who trust mainstream media anymore, but still there are people who, think that that's the truth. In the alternative media, too, there's all kinds of crazy stuff floating around. There's infiltration everywhere you look. So we don't have a choice anymore. We have to tune into ourselves. We have to tune into our heart, right? Sun, earth, human. This is where the portal is. And speaking of portals, there are energetic nodes or gateways all across the earth, places where the planetary field interfaces more directly, let's say, with larger cosmic flows, sacred sites, ley line intersections, ancient temples. The natural gateways arise from the living intelligence of the planet. They're not built, right? They were formed through resonance. We could call those the songlines, right? And those, examples that most people can relate to of these sites are like sacred mountains and springs and caves and ancient forests, intersections, megalithic sites that were aligned to the land, not imposed on it, because we have a lot of imposition too, because there are also engineered gateways all over the place. Engineered gateways are attempts to replicate or control the natural points of connection. And instead of arising organically, they are constructed or manipulated or somehow technologically or energetically altered. And so where natural gateways are like ecosystems, the engineered gateways are more like machines, right? Because the forces of control and domination are much more machine-like than, they're not natural, right? They're not organic. So natural gateways circulate life, right? Toroidal field. Engineered systems manage or redirect or attempt to control the life force, to attempt to control those flows. Some of these points are in contention right now on the planet. Okay? They're highly significant in times of transition, which we are in. These places are places where the flow of energy can either be suppressed or restored. So, one of those stargates or portals is in a region that is at war right now. I don't know if you can hear, it's like helicopters flying overhead all of a sudden. Yeah. There's one called SS-10. It's in a region that is the contested Iran-Iraq border. All right? And that site is described as a planetary sovereignty nexus. So where our planet's sovereignty is at stake, makes sense that there's a lot going on. I'm just saying, everybody look deeper. Look deeper. What's going on our planet is not the product of planetary geopolitical stuff alone. Certainly not. We are a key to this whole universe. What happens here impacts not only the solar system, not only the galaxy, but the entire universe. Fractal. We are fractal. We are fractal beings. It's so much bigger than anybody can imagine. All right, so look deeper. The Earth is a living field. It makes sense that certain points of the field of the Earth carry greater significance, that there are portals within the Earth, because we have a portal within us, and it's our heart, where we have direct access to Source. The return of the feminine is not something that's happening outside of us. It is happening through us. So if you ever feel powerless in the face of what's going on in the world, remember that you are the world. You are the universe. What goes on in you is going on in the universe. You have that much power. We need to remember that we have a certain responsibility when we start to awaken and start being responsible and sovereign. Okay? That means being very grounded. It means facing our shadows. It means trusting ourselves and rehabilitating our self-image as humans. I talk about this all the time, team human. Team human. It's time. It's time to remember who you are. Stand for yourself. This is so much bigger than our personal lives, and yet we will see the state of the world also being reflected in our personal lives, right? Because it's a microcosm, macrocosm. Everything is a reflection. Everything is a mirror. We are fractal beings, full universal fractals of the source. Why do you think there's so much contention for our energy, for dominance over us? And it's failing. It's failing. So, every time we listen to our heart, every time we honor our emotional truth, every time we reconnect with nature, every time we choose coherence over reactivity, emotionality, commotionality, we are participating in the restoration of this field of feminine intelligence. There's more than one kind of intelligence. Intellectual brilliance is one thing. Heart intelligence, emotional intelligence is another, and it's equally important. We've got to stop making excuses for why we don't have any power. It's ridiculous. So, our heart is not separate from the Earth's heart and the Earth's field. When our heart becomes coherent, our nervous system starts to stabilize and regulate, and our perception gets clearer, and our field aligns to what is true and what is real and what is organic. And we begin to therefore resonate with the deeper intelligence of the planet itself. All right, we are not powerless. Everything is going our way, despite what it looks like. But we have to take responsibility for ourselves in this. We have to stop behaving like children, in the sense that, we remain ignorant and, right? We have to be connecting to our heart intelligence now. And, when we do that, we can see through things. We can see through what is false. We can see through the games that are being played and penetrate to the heart of the matter. So I think that's all I really want to say today. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being open and considering. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. For a long time, the light of the heart in us and in the earth has been dimmed and suppressed and controlled. That's all changing now. The light cannot be extinguished. It can only be obscured. What we are, in essence, can't be touched. No matter how hard those interests have tried, our true essence cannot be touched, cannot be corrupted. And what we're witnessing now is not the creation of something new. It is the re-emergence of what has always been here, what has always been within us, within humanity. The most powerful gateway that you can ever encounter is not hidden somewhere on the planet. It's right here. It's right here. This is where we have access to the infinite field. So this is the point within us where, the heart opens and our field becomes coherent again and things start to make sense. Even if you can't explain it intellectually. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful day. everything is going our way.